Okay, folks, welcome to another Sunday Night Futures Live. Franklin, hello. NY Jets, hello. Pre-drag, happy Sunday to you. Other Trish, hello. Sunday Night Futures Live.
Oh boy.
Franklin, hello.
Let me get rid of the
NY
reverb.
Jets, hello. Pre-drag, happy Sunday to you. Other Trish, Sunday Night Futures Live.
Oh boy.
Franklin,
God,
hello.
that's embarrassing. Let me get rid of
NY
the
Jets,
reverb.
hello. Pre-drag, happy Sunday to you. Other Trish, Sunday Night Futures Live.
Oh my God. That's happening like 3 times already.
Trish, hello. Chuck, Amerimigo. Justine, hello. You got the link, hopefully? Young, Himanshu, Emilio, Jedi, Will, Tommy, Suresh. Hello, everyone. All right, so it's going to be a power-packed week. I have the Constitution in the background for a reason. And while I'm a big fan, for the most part, of the president, I'm not a lemming. I'm going to think for myself. And we have a system of checks and balances for a reason. And the usage of an executive order for a tax cut or to allow for the deferment of rent by tenants to their landlords. I mean, I think it's an overstep. But we live in crazy times. But the market's going to like it. You're seeing bonds come in a little bit from the close. My guess is that I'm surprised. The Russell 2000 at current is down, but I think that's going to reverse itself by tomorrow afternoon. The S&P down slightly. It looks as though the market's priced in some anticipated action by the president. He was forecasting it last week. The E-minis flat. Let's check and see how gold is doing. Up, but fading. We're going to, before I sign off for tonight, I'm going to come back and go through these to see where we settle out. Nasdaq 100, it's up, but fading. Okay. Nat gas. A wild week last week. It's probably going to continue this week. VIX, wrong chart. VIX is up slightly. Got clobbered last week. The lowest closing low for the VIX since the week of February the 26th. Okay, let's take a look at some headlines and some economic data that was released last week, which is going to guide us somewhat through this week. We had last week ISM Manufacturing Index came out better than expected. Construction spending, worse than what was expected, but better than the prior read. Factory orders came in considerably better than what was expected. ISM Services Index, better than expected. Thursday, initial jobless claims, less worse than what were expected. And then on Friday, we had a beat on non-farm payrolls. This is what I like to call the Pimp Mac Daddy of them all in terms of economic data. And it was a relatively good number. But they're touting a 10.2, I think it's 10.2% unemployment rate. That's the U3 number out of the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. That's not the real number. The close to real number is the U6 number. And that's got, I believe, a 17 handle on it in terms of those that are out of work and those that are discouraged workers. It doesn't count in, though, those folks that have been out of the workforce for over a year. So if you add those folks back in, we're probably up over 20% on unemployment in this country. Coming up this week, in terms of economic data, the NFIB Small Business Index, that can move the small caps. They've been on a tear. I think that they're going to move up higher. We have the CPI coming out this week. That's the Consumer Price Index, inflation at the consumer level. Thursday, we have the initial jobs claims number. As always, that's going to be a market mover. Retail sales on Friday. So what the president also did is he extended out the unemployment benefit. Was $600, will now be $400 per week on top of unemployment benefits. So expect probably a strong number on retail sales. The problem, though, for this market is that it's not going to happen right now. But what's going to happen is that with all of this money printing, with this cut in the payroll tax, that's over 7%. 7% of your wages go towards the payroll tax, Social Security. That's going to be a heck of a tax cut. And for those that are really interested in who qualifies, I don't qualify. I guess knowing my demographic, many of you don't qualify either. I don't want to be the deliverer of bad news, but if you make, in short, less than $104,000 per year, you qualify. If you make more than that, you're out of luck. Either way, most Americans do not make more than $104,000 per year. Most Americans do pay the payroll tax. There's going to be a tsunami of spending that goes on very, very soon. So this is going to be huge. And why it's going to be a problem longer term is that we're unleashing inflation. It's not necessarily the money printing in and of itself that's a problem. The problem is when you have a velocity of money that's increasing, more transactions taking place, cheap money, which is borrowed by the federal government, chasing too few goods. That's what sends inflation up higher. And that is going to be the pain that we feel after the election, because the bill is coming home to roost. Good for you, Ed. Okay. Hey, Eric, how you doing, pal? Anthony? Will, is 7% of your wages not going to Social Security? More or less? Okay. I'm not an expert on this, but I looked it up earlier. It was about 7.75%. The payroll taxes. That's a lot of money. All right. So, furious Dems, here are the headlines. Furious Dems faced with daunting question. Will they dare to challenge Trump's executive order? Saw Nancy Pelosi on TV today. Boo-hoo for her. They're not going to challenge this. There's no way they're going to challenge this. Here she is, Miss Happy Face herself. She's actually right here. I can't believe I'm agreeing with Nancy Pelosi, who I think is the I don't know how low you can go on the food chain to be as low as she is, but she's pretty down there. But she's I believe that she's correct here. It's unconstitutional, but it will not be challenged. The scary part about this is that, what's preventing, if we set precedents here, what's preventing a President Biden or whoever's sock puppet VP who's going to take his spot if he ever gets elected? What's preventing them from implementing the Green New Deal? What's the sense of having Congress anymore? Granted, they're a bunch of buffoons. They get on camera and it's all about me time. The biggest bunch of narcissists I ever seen in my life. However, they're there for a reason. It's to obstruct. It's their job. You don't want too much legislation getting passed because whatever they touch turns to crap. Congratulations, Pre-Jack. I just gave you good news. Good. She has a $12,000 freezer side by side. No shocker there. And she's got big, big gates around that property. HHS Chief Alex Azar lands in Taiwan for historic visit to Beijing. This is only ratcheting up. You had the banning of TikTok within 45 days. On Friday, WeChat banned. I don't know if there are strings attached to that one. Now you have the Healthy Human Services Secretary visiting Taiwan as if it's a sovereign nation, which it technically, in my book, is. However, we have been playing a game with China for the past 40 years that we have a one China policy. We're throwing that in the dustbin of history right here, right now. And the tensions, we are sticking our thumb in the Chinese face. And you need to understand the way they think. It's all about saving face. So we're daring them right now to attack Taiwan. So this is a problem. And if it's going to ratchet up, it's going to ratchet up fairly soon because they do not want Trump back in office. I don't know whether or not they would want to stoke fears of nationalism in the United States by having a conflict, a military conflict. That would have a lot of blowback to it. I don't know what other rabbit they can pull out of their hat, but expect some real dirty tricks out of China before the election, something that they don't have their fingerprints on, and it probably won't be pretty. We are at 612. I have a huge number of symbols to go through for members, and let's go to those symbols. David, Emilio, Justine, Young, Eric, Charles, Corey, Tommy. Got a lot of stuff to go through. All right, let's do this. This segment is brought to you by our friends over at TrendSpider. It blew through the ceiling last week. August, we have a generally 100% seasonality rate. Actually, sorry, 61.66 seasonality up ratio for SRNE. So the month is favorable to SRNE. Let's go to a monthly chart. We are trading above the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. Very strong stock, but something that I certainly can't touch. We attempted a breakout last week on Friday, but we were rejected at the prior high, or I should say the declining resistance level. So just beware here. I mean, it looks strong on a daily chart, but you need to keep an eye on this lower band of support now. If this breaks, you're going to see a serious correction in SRNE, because keep in mind where we're at on a monthly basis. We are stratospheric in terms of where we are relative to the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. RSI is still reasonable. How's daily RSI? Over 80, but this is a low price stock. It can go higher. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see it go higher. Would I buy it here? No. Way too volatile, way too extended on a monthly basis. I would expect a correction fairly soon on SRNE. Amerigo. Yeah, we've spoken about that. Franklin, about competing time frames. Honestly, we steal a lot of each other's stuff. They take some of my stuff, I take some of their stuff. The I don't know why they chose 6 p.m. for their hour, but mine is more strategic. I usually like 6 p.m. because that's when the futures open up. Is it time to take profits on SRNE? Me personally, if I had profits, I would be looking to take some off. I'd use a trailing stop loss order with the rest because the daily chart, you could see a breakout here. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. But to initiate a new trade, no, too much risk, not enough reward. Trish, that was awesome. Anthony, that was your wife. Too funny. Let's go to, what's my next one up here? Emilio, CLSK. Cleanse Park Inc. Never heard of them. Let's go to the monthly chart first. Before I get into this one, let me just go back to see where the S&Ps are trading. It's still down. Okay. All right. So monthly chart, we've broken out very early in the month, right? It's only the 10th as of tomorrow. There's not a lot of data here to use a seasonality chart, so I'm not even going to get into that. Excuse me. So if we close out the month above this resistance level, very, very attractive. Watch for a retest of monthly support at $9.06 next month. More importantly, though, is the weekly chart. And the weekly chart extended relative to the third standard deviation Bollinger Band, but really, really nice. I mean, we broke out here on the 27th above not one resistance level, but two resistance levels. Did a retest last week of nearly both. So the weekly chart, a bit extended again, next to that third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I sound like a broken record, but it's something to be concerned about. You can see on a daily chart how we went near to it and we backed off. So would I initiate a new trade here? No. Note how when we broke out here on the 6th, we then pulled back on the 7th to do a retest. Me personally, I like to see a retest here yet again. So we'll leave it active for the week. And we're good to go. Another entry point that might be interesting is right here at $8 and let's call it $8.12. So it's a good looking chart. But I just don't want to forget how extended we are weekly relative to that third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I mean, we've been there for quite some time now, trading above it, flirting with it, then backing off. So expect a reaction at some point in time to alleviate that. And that's your opportunity to get long. JMIA, this is for Emilio. Monthly data, useless, not enough data. Now notice how once we got through these volume shelves, the shares just took off because you didn't have a tremendous amount of overhead supply above. Now next Thursday, Trend Spider is going to be on. We're going to be doing a demonstration of anchored VWAP, and that's this blue line here. I use the volume shelves already, but the anchored VWAP is something that's now included with our packages for members that are silver or gold level members. So we got an upgrade on what we're offering. Basically, anything new that comes on to Trend Spider, we get now. So good deal. So good looking chart here. But we are a bit extended. We pulled back a lot last week. Big topping tail. Daily chart. It could still move up higher. Would I initiate a new trade here? No. If I was long of it, I'd be using a trailing stop loss order. Wasn't a bad day on Friday. It was very good. We broke out, and I think that we could quite very well go higher here. I would just be using a trailing stop loss order and expect some resistance right up here at 22.89. Let's take a quick look at GLD. S&P is moving lower. We're at the lows of the session now. Gold has given back pretty much all of its gains. Now, we were short of gold last week. We closed out that trade on Friday. We booked a profit. It wasn't a huge profit, but I didn't want to go into the weekend short for fears of what the president did today, or yesterday, I should say. So we're fading here a bit. I'm not going to be the least bit surprised to see lower lows this coming week. The other reason why we booked profits on gold was that if you take a look at gold on a daily basis, we were at RSI of nearly 90 on the GLD. We were at 90 on spot gold. So we went short Thursday. I wanted to build a larger position. I was hoping that they would push it up even more to build up a larger position. It wasn't to be. It pulled back. So it was a small position, and I just don't want to risk losing a profit because of some crazy headline that comes out, and that's exactly what happened. So we'll probably move lower. I'll probably regret closing out that trade, but so be it. Profit's a profit. All right, so longer term, what do we think is going to happen here with the GLD? Here was the prior high back in 2011. Here we are today. We shot right up through it like a hot knife through butter. Me, I'd be looking for a pullback and a retest of that support level. It's a 9-year base we just broke out of. To think that we're not going to pull back and do a retest, I think is a little bit foolhardy. Not possible. Long at that support level. So we're going to keep this active for as long as it takes, because I think after the election, if you hadn't taken advantage of a pullback and a retest of gold, you're going to regret it. Because I think after the election, I think that we're going to see higher yields, less money printing, because the president doesn't need to worry about re-election. As for a daily chart, I think that we're still extended. Might we pop up higher? Sure. It's in a bull run. You can't deny it. We bounced right off of the daily lower band of the rising uptrend channel. So that's gold. 194.62 is resistance now. Going out into, I'm looking at the seasonality chart. August. Median change is 2.9%. We're well above that. %, of the time we've been up in August. Interesting. All right, so gold under pressure, understandably. I wouldn't buy it here. I'd wait for the pullback and a retest of support. And that's it right at 186.46. GDX. Now, the problem with the GDX is that it actually closed down last week, or close to down. Big reversal week. This ascending wedge formation was really unsustainable. How do new gold members get Trend Spider? I send them out an email link. Rick Roofing. Hey, Rick Roofing. How you doing, buddy? Oliver, hey, how you doing, pal? Thanks, Anthony. All right, GDX. Let's go to a monthly view to get a better, higher level view. So, a parabolic move. The month is still young. For all we know, we could rally back here. So we want to keep an open mind. Unlike spot gold, we have not broken out above anywhere near all-time highs. So the street, as far as I'm concerned, is still asleep at the wheel when it comes down to this trade. Would I buy here? No. Let's talk about where we would. 36.95, very interesting. Not my favorite support level. All right, so this is it's an okay support level to add at. But this down here would be great if we ever get it. This is where we back up the truck. Now, we've been scaling out of our gold miners. I'm probably going to continue doing that into this week. I'm probably never going to be out of the gold miners for the next few years. But these are the support levels that we're looking at to have defended. I have a line up here, $40.17. I like to see a lower price than there. I think we can get that. So that's the GDX. Trisha, you can change the seasonality to include several years. I have it on 10 months. Oh, is that what it is? I just got this on yesterday. Thanks for that, Trish. Thank you. How do I change it? I don't want to bore everybody with this. I'll figure it out. I was wondering why there was no data for some of these months. All right, I'll figure it out. I don't want to bore everybody. Thank you, Trish. Okay. What's next? GMA, GDX, COTY. Very nice. We'll come back to this. Go to a monthly chart first. Very nice. Move. So we have a breakout on a monthly basis. We have a breakout on a weekly basis. We're still in a longer term downtrend. And that downtrend is still intact. But there's reason to believe here that we're setting up for a pretty nice rally. We have a breakout on RSI, higher lows on our Stokes. This is a W formation. So here's your left side of your W, center, pivot point. The pivot point is right at All right, you're not going to play along with me here. Okay. Let's call it $6.27. That's our price target number one. Very good risk reward trade here because you just want to use a stop loss right below $3.30. I think this stock can easily rally up to $6.27. If it gets through that level, here's your next resistance level. $7.17. Very nice trade. Daily chart. Yeah, this is going to run. Yeah, daily breakout, retest 1, retest 2. I think it's going to go. Here's one problem, though, if I have to throw one out there. You have a tremendous amount of volume up here, huge volume shelf to work through. Huge. So there may be some slugging it out in the early going here, but once we get through, let's call it $4.70 rounded up, I think that the rate at which it's going to rise is going to quicken because you have far less volume history above, so less overhead supply, more ease at which for the shares to rally up higher. So the charts look chart on monthly basis, weekly basis, daily basis. It's a trifecta. It looks really, really good. Let's see who else is next. Eric, Microsoft. Microsoft, listen, it's such a dominant player. It can do whatever it wants. It's probably going to go up higher. But the one thing that I can't ignore is, and I bring this up every single time I get asked about Microsoft, and that's the quarterly view. RSI 92.43 on a mega cap name. Yearly yearly RSI is at 93.51. It's insanity. Trading 3 years, 4 years consecutively into the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. I mean, when this thing goes, it's going to be a bloodbath. So let's go to the monthly view. And you can see here that you saw a lot of topping action last month, and you see more of it this month. To me, it looks as though we've had an exhaustion run here. One could have argued that same thing back down here, and we only pulled back and we went up higher. But this was the COVID. This was the big sell-off. I think we're setting up for something similar right here, right now. Probably not as serious to the downside, but in terms of topping action, very consistent. An exhaustion run, lots of selling above. It's very, very overbought longer term. Weekly chart. We gapped up higher. How was weekly volume? It was good. I couldn't buy it here. We're in a obvious rising uptrend channel. We're struggling to hit that upper band already. I'd have to wait for a pullback and a retracement back down to this lower band of support. Long with a question mark. I think that we've seen probably the beginning of sector rotation. It started on Thursday when on Thursday Night Futures Live I was talking about my expectation that there would be a rally in the U.S. dollar, rally in yields. We got that on Friday, but we were positioned ahead of it. We were scaling out of some commodity names, gold in particular, gold miners, I should say, and into the financials. We have a very big weighting right now in the financials. They did well on Friday. They broke out, in fact. So I think that we're going to see more and more money rotate out of these mega cap tech names and into the beaten down industrials. I mean, the industrials had a great week last week. Even saw the small caps rally. That's my take on Microsoft. I'm not loving it. Nikola. This is a stock that's treated us pretty well. Hello, Bob. What would be your favorite gold miner or silver play? Silver, it's such a fragmented business. I would just want to stick with an ETF. If I had to pick an individual miner, best of breed, Newmont or Barrick, one of the two. But again, I'm more of an ETF guy when it comes down to if I have a choice of ETF versus individual stock, I take the ETF because I don't have the headline risk that an individual stock brings with it, especially when you're trading small company growth stocks, because how many times have you been hit with dilution of shares? So, or in the case of, we didn't own it. What was the stock? Oh, it was one of my favorite charts of last week. Dropbox. They came out with great numbers last week. They beat guidance, outstanding, cloud business booming, but their CFO is leaving. The shares got hammered. So I try to avoid headline risk as much as possible. The markets are tough enough. So if you can remove some of that risk, that headline risk out of the equation, I go for it every single time. Hey, Denny. We'll check out Bitcoin. Peter, I listened to his podcast over the weekend. It's so funny. 25 years to say gold 10,000. It's 2,000. He thinks he is correct. Peter he's an odd guy. He's extremely, extremely intelligent. When it comes down to economics, the guy's bar none, top tier. When it comes down to the technical aspect of pulling the trigger on a trade, that's where he leaves a lot to be left for criticism. There's a saying that being early is equivalent to being wrong in trading, and it's happened to me many, many times. And you could argue I was too early to the gold game myself. I got bullish Q4 of 2015. Now we're only really ripping in 2020, so that's a long time. So Peter Schiff, bar none, in terms of economics, in terms of what the inevitable end game is going to be, top tier. You just can't argue with the guy. And I see these guys that try to debate him, and they try to knock him down, and they couldn't put his shoes on. I mean, they're intellectually inferior. That being said, he's made some, technically some incorrect calls. Like he bet that the stock market had topped out. I think it was like this time last year, and no, it didn't. So Nikola, let's go to a monthly chart. It's off. Microsoft called it off. Bring up the news from Microsoft. If there's a link, if you could share that would be great. Because I'm seeing that there may be a bidding war here. Yeah, Twitter is in preliminary discussions as well. Okay. Let's get to Nikola. All right, monthly chart, not a lot of data here. Nothing to talk about. You know what there is? To be fair, there is. We've stopped going down, right? No new monthly low. Very critical. That's about it. Weekly chart. We booked profits on Nikola because of this candlestick formation. And I'll go back to the... It's hard to see it on here. Oh, here. All right. So very close to being a hanging man formation on the 4th. So I was worried that we would pull back, and we sure enough did. So I think that what we need to do here is get through Get through 36.38. I'm sorry, 38.68. I'm dyslexic tonight. I was wondering why. Sorry about that. 38.68. I have a problem with the font here. Okay, NKLLA breakout. Other than that, I mean, a pullback to where? Might we pull back if the market opens up weak? Sure, but I wouldn't be interested until we got down to a bare minimum here, but ideally here at $30.21. We'll set this up as a cursory alert. Depending upon market health, we might speculate, re-enter at that price point. Ideally, here's the Pimp Mac Daddy of where we want to re-enter. And there are a number of commercial trucking names that were on our screener. I went over on Best Stock Charts. It's on the website, on YouTube, if you want to go check it out. They're on our watch list. I think I've updated most of them on the watch list area, in the members area, with price targets, stop loss points, and entry points. And if you go onto the members area and you see a price higher than where the shares closed as being our entry point, and you're scratching your head wondering what do I mean? It means that I'm looking for a breakout and a close above that price, which is noted in the members area as an entry point. So just an FYI. Okay, what else do we have up? Nikola Visa. I haven't taken a look at this one since earnings. You know, you would think that Visa would do well with the extension of unemployment benefits and the payroll tax cut. Here's the problem, though. You're in a trading range. We'll keep this active for, say, 10 days. Because this will be an interesting one. Or if we broke out, or if we broke out. And we'll let it go for 10 days. We could see some backing and filling here. And we're good to go. Let's, out of curiosity, see how PayPal's setting up. I prefer the payment electronic payment providers more. Yeah, look at this. I mean, man, I sold this way too early. I wouldn't buy it here, though. A little bit of topping action on PayPal. What else do I have? Nat Gas. I'm just going to go over... Corey, you have UNG, Boyle, and NG. I'm going to go over spot price and UNG. And Boyle's going to be in there anyway. It's going to look like the same chart. We had a great week last week. Do we get a straight shot up higher? That's a tough call. Our Stokes are moving in the right direction. RSI gaining strength. Very early stages of recovery here. You see so much backing and filling at this stage of the game that you definitely don't want to chase. You have a lot of resistance above here. Me, I'm just going to go on my instinct and say, you know what, I need to see some sort of a retracement and a validation that this breakout is going to hold. So I would do one of these. Weekly basis. If it fires off, we'll see if it holds. And we'll keep this active for 10 days. It's firming up. It's just not, it doesn't have the momentum yet. One week does not make a trend. So we need to see some backing and filling. Higher lows begin to build. Then the shorts begin to get the message. They begin to cover. And then institutions see that nat gas is now going in the right direction. And then you get the money flows. Daily chart, very good day on Friday. I mean, Thursday was not a good day. We had a bearish reversal day, but what did we do on Friday? We gapped up. Really, really good price action. So I'm not going to be the least bit surprised to see a new higher high this week, but I'm going to defer to the action plan that we have in place. I need to see a retracement back down to the support. We want to see it hold. Then we can open up a position, stop loss just below, and add more as we overcome milestones such as volume shelves, which generally correlate with resistance. And once we get through those, we add more. Okay, let's go to nat gas. All right, so it's up on the session. It's probably going up higher. But we want to see that retracement. I wouldn't go chasing it. What else do we have? Bitcoin. Up $200. Listen, we have the CPI data coming out this coming week. We know from past experience that if inflation is hot, Bitcoin will rally. If it comes in weak, you may see some weakness on Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is looking pretty good here. I think it goes higher. I wouldn't touch it until it came back down to 10,000 though. I think we will do a retracement back down there at some point in time. It is now soybeans. It's past 7 o'clock. We'll make this one the last one. Soybeans. I think this is the first time anybody's requested soybeans. Comments on BRZU? Okay, I like the daily chart. I'm not loving the weekly chart. The one concern I do have with emerging markets is if the dollar, let's just get through soybeans, we'll go to the dollar. If the dollar continues higher, I don't know the symbol for soybeans. Here, soybean futures. Oof. Big reversal week. This was last week. This is not reflective of action this week. A wee bit of a bounce here. You'd want to make sure that soybeans don't fade and that the next volume bar does not take out this low. So in short, I always fall back on my first observation. I need to see if I'm going to buy a distressed, in this case, commodity. It has to stop going down, right? So we're seeing a reversal bar. However, we have taken out the prior low, which leads me to believe that we may fade here. Maybe not, but we want to validate that. Let this bar close out. And if we fail to take out on the next 4-hour bar this low, then in all probability we're going to see a rally on soybeans. Longer term, I like soybeans. Still in pen? No, I got shaken out. We booked a profit. Thanks, Trish. Thank you very much. We got shaken out of pen. So I'll be looking to get back in. If it pulls back to $40 a share, that makes it interesting. Take care, Franklin. So Tommy, BRZU. My comment on ICE is I think it's going higher. I like it. I'm pretty heavy in it now. You're welcome, Bonnie. So if you see a rally in the dollar, a rally in yields, you're going to see emerging markets, including the BRZU, take a pause. Why? It's because commodities will pull back. Also, their debt is denominated in U.S. dollars. So if the dollar strengthens, that means that they're paying back with their currency a higher dollar. So I wouldn't go adding here just yet. I would sit. I'm not going to look to bail on BRZU right now. I'm not looking to add right now. I want to see any correction. If there is going to be a correction, any rally in the dollar or a rally in yields occur or fail. If it occurs and we fade, then I get longer of emerging markets. If we don't get the rally that I'm expecting on the dollar and yields, then we look to get long of emerging markets even more than what we are right now. So right now, I wouldn't be in a rush to add more here. I would sit with my current position. If you're heavy, that's a concern to me. Shouldn't be overly heavy of the BRZ. It's very, very volatile. So just be careful with being too heavy in this one position. ICE, love it. I think it's going a lot higher. Great day on Friday. A little bit extended here. But I think we'll pull back, recover. We'll move up higher. Let's see how we're closing out I want to take a look at the dollar. Up. So this is what I worry about, Tommy. This is why we're long on the financials. Let's take a look at yields. Technically not yields. It's the bond price. At current, we're off the lows of the session. We're flat for the most part. So yields are flat. But we did break down below support. We faded this last 4-hour bar. Let's see whether or not this one fades or do we rally. That will be the tail of the tape for tomorrow's price action. You're welcome, Oliver. And if everybody could smash that like button, have a great night, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Be well.